Alright, let's start episode 1 in Venice, but to get to that, let's see why the team has to go to Venice.
A group of specialists, each member contributing their own particular talent. It was clear that we needed Murray.
Yeah, the thing is that Murray, after the events of the second game, had decided to quit the gang, and we will soon see why.
He sucks.
No, he actually he was emotionally distraught and blamed himself for what happened to Bentley.
Eventually leading the team.
I was about to say, considering what happened to him, I'm pretty sure he has some serious mental health issues right now.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
not even...
he actually decided to get some therapy in the form of pacifism, you know, in the outback of Australia.
Wow.
The dream time.
There's a
How did he end up in
therapist,
Venice?
finally!
Well, it's more of a cartoon hero, it's more treated like as magic. But the good news is that
No, listen, it's still a therapist, which is better than everything
they
else.
sent him on a journey. The master sent him on a journey towards the war to find, you know, peace. And the next step was from purify Venice from pollution.
You know what's ironic, Tio, is,
Because of the COVID pandemic, yes, that actually happened, I know.
So,
And here's our villain, in the meantime, Don Octavio, the Italian lion.
And said he was destined to be
Huh.
the next great tenor.
And it, you know, I've realized in most cases I've never really seen lions to be Italian. I mean, except for...
That's because, Jova, the symbol of Venice is represented by its saint protector, Saint Marcus, whose symbol is actually a lion. So lion's imagery is all over the place in Venice. That just makes sense.
Business.
It just makes sense.
He became
So
the
basically,
Phantom of the Opera.
because these darn new kids loving rock and all opera makes him a criminal, of course.
Yes.
Sly Cooper and the gang in,
Well, Sly Cooper and what's left of the gang.
well, an opera of fear.
Thought they were gonna say an opera of death.
No, thankfully.
The Phantom of the Opera is here.
So, Tio,
So yeah, welcome to whatever this version of Venice is supposed to be.
Tio, better or worse than Castlevania Bloodlines that implies that Italy was controlled by a demon atop a leaning tower of Pisa?
I'm pretending that didn't happen.
That's the joke. That's a joke the irate gamer made in those travelogue videos he tried.
Oh god, that's a good thing I didn't watch it. Anyway, there you go. Now, the sad thing about this is that the bottles have been completely removed. I really don't understand why they did this, because the bottles were such a good way to make you acquainted with the overworld. But here, it's not like they have been reworked into some other fashion. No, completely gone. So you don't really have the only unlockables that you do is the fact that the stuff that you will get from Q.net.
So
Anyway.
here's something that's different about this game from the previous Sly Cooper games. There's not really an entire gang or organization you're going up against. It just so happens that
Yeah.
in order to get each member, you happen to go to a sound that's
Gelateria.
ruled by a certain crime lord or whatnot.
Yes, actually, exactly. The villains are actually self-contained as in actual episodes of a cartoon that you go through. That's pretty neat. So your first
It's
thing
like
to
the
do,
monster of the week.
kinda, the first thing that you need to do is to infiltrate the police station and get some photos of it to understand also the situation.
Noted. Huh. Looks like I found
So
my
it's
way
kind of like a
inside.
case where we have a purpose, but it just so happens that there's a bad guy along the way, so
Pretty
let's take him
much.
down too.
Pretty much. This will become much more apparent in the
Well, I mean, we're
second
going this way
episode.
anyway.
This is also reflected by the fact that now there's only one episode per villain, quote unquote, instead of like 2 for each. But each episode is technically bigger, and there's a lot more stuff to do.
Now, I will say this though, despite there not being as much connecting to the plot overall, doesn't mean that they're any less threatening or, you know, bombastic. Oh no, they still do have a lot of that here and there. It's like, okay, think about comparing it to, say, Ace Attorney 1 to Ace Attorney 2 and to another
Hold on,
extent-
Java. Here we go. Now it's time to meet an old acquaintance, Dimitri. What the
Oh.
fuck are you doing here?
Basically, let's just say Dimitri was incredibly popular, so much so that by popular demand, here he is again.
Well, at least we're allowing to smoke in jail, I guess.
Come around here.
to meet you.
Remember, guys,
Anytime
Peggy
you want.
free for the
See you
original
soon.
version.
And you still a crackerbox.
So, this game introduces also something unique about it. For some conversations, you will have multiple choices and you will need to pick the correct one. You don't really fail in picking the wrong one, but you do get some quirky dialogue attached to it, so I will try to mix and match a bit.
Pay attention, this will all be on the test.
Let's try...
If those cops get their mitts on me, who's gonna?
Yeah,
put
let's
you
try
in jail?
threatening you.
You might get the cell door open, but the cops would throw down and bust me on the way out. And then I'll get the double sentence. Sweep!
Try that before. Yeah, there you go. Let's try something else. This guy says police, not really. Checking with the vent, no, he's not that agile.
How about I get the cops' attention, then run for it? Once they're all outside shooting at me, you can slip out no problem.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's a plan I can get behind. Dimitri is free and Cooper is cooked. Keep head cop lady's office.
I'm quite sure that's what you
Wait a minute.
This
Did you
other lot won't be
say
a problem.
cop
I
lady's
should be able to-
office? Nah, it couldn't be.
I thought, well, we should go back on the...
Just keep on the down low and out of sight near them coppers, bro. They're a bad bunch of bunnies.
Actually, we're more gorillas, as you will see in a second. Now, the good thing about this is that the room is in the dark, so you will have to sneak in under their desk. But yes, what you're hearing is Inspector Carmida Fox, and for the running gag, now instead she's voiced by Ruth Liviere.
Putting on a Boston accent.
She's doing stuff. This actress is doing stuff still to this day. Apparently, she's in a TV series currently called Helen of Avalor, I think it's called.
Yes, that's a Disney Channel show. Yeah.
Okay, she
I will
was
say
in
that-
Saints Row the Third, Dead Rising 3. Oh yeah, there was this one, but this wasn't really her first major role. But she has done some video game stuff after this, basically.
In
Okay,
terms of being expressive and memorable, I think she's my favorite of Carmelita's voice actresses.
I still prefer the fourth one, as you will see in Thieves in Time.
So this is where the Legend of Spyro got their inspiration from, to change Cinder's and Sparks' voice actors every game.
Actually, Jibs, it's more common than you would think, sadly.
There we go.
The thing is, though, they
It's a
only
bit-
really
it's a
joked
bit
about
weird
it
they're
with
doing every
Sparks.
game.
Yeah.
I mean, they do make a meta joke about Sparks, but not so much for Cinder. So what's
No acknowledgement in Cinder's case.
Let's get back to
Yeah.
business. Now, where was I?
she
Oops.
had intense vocal cord surgery.
So basically, for this next sequence, you will have to traverse back the room while the lights are flashing occasionally.
Sure you're under a desk when the lights come back on.
Maybe they're just a bunch of clones, but they botched the voice every time.
yeah. I mean, seriously, yeah. Or maybe again, that's the thing that every time that happens, I always go for the surgery because there's no other explanation I could why they suddenly look and or sound different.
Also, game, I don't know what you're trying to say here. The electricity is just fine in my country. We don't really have outdated tech like this for the police offices.
This is not a
Also-
stereotype I've heard of before.
It's nice that they really...
Yeah, I think it has to just be stereotypic.
Alright, now I'm gonna show what happens if I get caught, if I caught correctly. There we go.
I can't imagine some of the more immature people going, you know what always happens in Italy? They have no power and it always happens all the time.
I absolutely love the game over jingle. If I like that. Also, I will say this: that the Sucker Punch did their job by using the correct terms.
Let's see some
The correct terms for the actual Italian words to be used.
Well,
For example,
Teo.
in the background, that's the Italian word for thief, with Sly's bounty on it. Apparently, it's 100,000 euros. That's a bit low for him, I think.
Well, Teo.
Don't European countries use a full stop to denote how many zeros?
No, 9 countries uses commas, actually.
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, Teo, if there's...
Spain at least use full stops.
I'll do like I promised and distract the cops so you can make your escape.
Solid. Don't worry, no mind. Straightway a password for Murray to find you. Meet at Rialto Bridge.
That's an actual location, by the way.
Okay, guess it's showtime.
Today
Sure,
in
why not?
Italian lessons with Sucker Punch Games.
Shut up, Dweebs, you have to learn something.
Hello, assorted meatheads and lady.
Oh, you're
Anyone
always
feel
a
like some
classy
exercise?
person, Sly.
Cooper, grab him, then.
And I'm out.
Bye!
So yeah, now obviously you're getting another chase sequence to run away from Carmelita. Back from the first game, actually. We haven't had those in the second game.
I could just use my gun, but
She's about to.
You've got some serious nerve showing up in my squad room.
I was concerned we were growing apart.
Then let's spend some quality time together in my interrogation cell.
So forward. What happened to the demure girl?
Well, maybe
I
you
used to
dumped
know?
her again at the end of the
Grew up
second
and
game.
stopped taking green
Did you
fries
keep?
like
Did you
Yeah,
keep the
she's
wine
not
you gave
joking.
me?
Carmelita is
Are you
kind
saying I've
of,
got
you
some
know,
competition?
very aggressive in this
You're the
game.
only man in my
Well,
class.
I
she
mean, she has
always
a gun.
has been. Actually,
There
okay,
you go.
maybe with the Boston accent, I'm thinking of her voice in the fourth game now that I think about it.
But yeah, so basically, don't expect her to collaborate much with the gang. Though the game has clever ways to, you know, incorporate into the plot, as you will see, starting with the next part, I think.
To be fair to you, we did kind of make a mockery of her in the second game, so I get the feeling she's still pissed about that.
You will see. This culminates basically for the end.
what's the
Oh,
time gap
I
between
know.
the previous game and this one?
Oof, I don't know if it's mentioned, but I think it's like 1 year tops.
Let
Let me
me
see.
check.
Let me see if it's mentioned actually.
Also, Terry, Terry, if there's one thing Sucker Punch are good at is representing another country's culture. So. Don't worry, Dwayne, don't worry, Dwayne. Eventually, we'll get Sucker Punch teaching Japanese lessons.
There we go, Java. Dweebs, it's 1 year after the second game.
Makes sense.
Thanks for the quick escape. I owe you one. Again.
Of course, Searcher. We are all
Oh,
in
no.
need of peace.
You're really whole hog on this Dreamtime stuff, huh?
My mind
It's
is
totally
clear,
not an allegory
like the
for
woodland after a
religion.
forest fire.
Or
Listen, Murray.
drugs.
We need you back on the team. That thing with Bentley
Or
wasn't your
both.
fault.
yeah,
Doesn't
to be
blame
fair,
you
he
for the
was
wheelchair.
chugged up on spice in the second game. I cannot blame him.
My guru, in his wisdom, told me to lose
You know,
myself,
it really just
not
begged the
return
question,
until
are we
the
really
black
doing the
water
right thing
ran
dragging
pure.
Murray back into
So
the
here I
game?
stay.
Well, the answer will become
You're
clear
sure
by
you
the end
tell
of
me
this
you're
episode, I
lost
can
and
tell
not
you
come
that.
back until you cleaned out
Oh.
the water filter?
Come on, I'm
Considering it's that early,
Come
I'm
on,
guessing
he's
no.
really trying.
Sorry. Tell me everything. I've missed you, pal.
Well, it's a long and awesome story. You got any
Of
guns?
course.
Well, it all began on the day that I was mentally traumatized.
Alright, first, there you go. For this recap section, now we added actual music behind it. I think it becomes a bit distracting, especially because the sound mix is not super optimal.
No subtitles.
Nope. That'll be wearing there also in the second game. I wasn't expecting just magically to appear now.
Was hoping third time's the charm.
Thankfully, now, you know, the solution is to make sure that Octavio gets arrested, but we need to make sure the police gets to it.
Now, why is the mission to see that he gets arrested?
Because again, he's responsible for, you know, polluting the water, and again, it's a combination of things. By doing that, Murray will fulfill his mission and will be able to join back the team.
Again, I actually do like how they do come up with reasons for us to take down the particular criminals here and there. Not necessarily the most altruistic, because in the end we are doing this mainly just to get Murray back into the game, but it still does show that there are principles.
Again, with this, I'm a bit more understanding of it. I still don't understand how the hell nobody in the Santa Monica beta testing team, when they were playing beta testing game, thought, you know, guys, you guys probably should put in subtitles in this game.
That really is baffling. Like, even back then, I can definitely see this being a complaint.
I think it might be a thing that we're just not familiar with it, because I remember trying subtitles for God of War 3 once, but we're so tiny there.
I should be able to hack his firewall and get the dirt on his
So,
operation.
Tio, who's the favorite of your boss?
Have you got a point of entry?
Sorry, what's
I'm
your
guessing
favorite
the
of the
front door's
bosses
not the
in this
safest option.
game?
Well, in terms of episode, let me say for episode, just for the sake of not spoiling, I'm gonna go with episode 3. Because it has my favorite of the non-main villains of the games. And obviously also the best couple of set pieces because it plays with your expectations too. And it's also very interesting in how they did it. Also, in hindsight, considering also Sucker Punch kind of testing the waters for stuff related to Ghost of Tsushima.
Octavio is known to rely on 3D technology
Of course.
to secure his property. In order to see the security measures, we'll need to utilize the...
And by the way, yes, the original release had some 3D components, including those awful 3D glasses. Thankfully, from as far as I know, this thing is completely removed for the HD version, and thank fuck.
I'll admit, I do kind of have a bit of nostalgia for putting on my 3D glasses for that one segment of the game.
It's interesting that they didn't put it in the HD remaster because the PS3 did have 3D functionality.
My guess was like,
to be fair, you also needed a 3D TV to do it, and I think this was the time we were starting to fading out. So games like For God of Thunder and Green Lantern, Rise of the Manhunter still had it, but I guess this one they didn't bother too much.
Here's the thing: back when this game first came out, physical media was, still the norm. I mean, okay, physical media is still a norm to this day, but nowadays it's just as likely people will get stuff digitally.
This is where the lack of subtitles comes to bite you in the ass, because for this section you have to wait upon the 1, 2, 3 command, but in this case Bentley does it. So if you basically you have audio impairment, you're kind of screwed.
But yeah, like I was saying, in regards to the 3D technology thing, unfortunately, my guess is like, well, they couldn't always gauge to see if people who bought this digitally had 3D glasses on them. So instead of, probably doing something like adding in a mode where you could just do without the 3D glasses, they just removed the 3D in general. Unfortunately, that kind of makes the scene where they have the 3D glasses kind of, weird in hindsight, seeing as how, obviously for the game, that meant you had to put on the 3D glasses. In this version of the game, though, not so much, so it's just a weird scene.
I still think they could have implemented an optional, an option for using the 3D that you see, for example, in the Shadow of the Colossus remaster.
Oh, that's exactly my point here. I mean, I would have preferred that they left it in as an option, but I guess they just opted to cut out the middleman.
Oh no, obviously I don't want it to be obligatory. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying like they could have tried to preserve the original vision by including that option there, so that
Oh. Absolutely, that's
also Don Octavio is voiced by David Scully, in case you know the same voice actor for Dimitri, and his Italian accent is kind of bad, I would have to say. He's trying a tad too hard for this.
I think you prefer his French one.
Oh wait, Dimitri is not really supposed to have a French accent.
He's Italian, so...
No, Don Octavio. Dimitri, despite being French, they gave him more of a stoner dude attitude, meaning that his accent is kind of lost in that.
I feel like I still sense a French accent in there. It's not a stereotypical
We're gonna actually have
French
a proper French villain with a French accent for the 4th game.
Should have gone
by Nolan North, nonetheless.
So basically, they should have gone for an Italian-American actor.
I don't know. Sorry. It's more of a direction than anything. I do believe they were just, the actor was directed this way.
Pretty much, you can definitely tell what style this game is going for. The over-enunciated and exaggerated in tone here.
It's almost as if they wanted to make kind of a cartoon, but sorry.
Well, question to you. I'm actually curious. What would you prefer? Well, for you it's different because what would you prefer? What would you prefer? A badly executed version of your accent, Or okay. Well, actually, hold on. Are there any other countries from aside from Italy that have Italian as their primary language? I don't think there are.
Swiss, I guess. Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Switzerland has three languages. Italian, particular accent in Germany. Sorry, Italian, French, and Germany.
Okay. So and I'm assuming that Switzerland accent is considerably different from the actual Italy one.
Barely, I can tell you that.
Well, okay. In that case, I guess my analogy can't work. Let's pretend for a moment that it is then. Like, would you have preferred this badly executed version of the Italy accent, or them just going for a Switzerland accent, which is wrong in this case?
I don't know. Gotta be honest. Like again, it's a tad complex, especially since the actual accents for my country are not as being differentiated, are not as varieties you can imagine from comparing to something like, say, Scottish and Welsh to traditional English.
Because remember, Teo, I still have that thing where a lot of American comedies, whenever they try to have Portuguese characters, they have Brazilians do
No, we don't really have that kind of analogy here, because as a person in Switzerland that talks in Italian only has a slight inflection, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. It's not like we changed the alphabet, not the alphabet, but the vocabulary entirely as a result.
That's why I compliment you, Glory, for what is a respectable take on the Portuguese accent. Not perfect by any means, but yeah, definitely one of the better instances of a native English speaker trying to speak Portuguese that I've seen. So.
Of course. Alright, moving on. Also, apologies, Shiri, but most of the guards in this in this level, in this episode, are cats, and I have to brutally murder them. So apologies.
They're bad kitties, though. So.
Judging from the security, we must.
Yeah, again, even for the animal analogy, they got that right. Dogs, cats, and pigeons, which are very common.
Living together, mass hysteria. Yeah.
Yes, shitting on the monuments and stuff.
That's very common here too.
Well, it makes sense. No cat's working for a lion anyway.
Well, actually, Shira, a question. Have you ever completed? I mean, you told me once that you've played the games, but have you actually completed Ratchet and Clank 2, for example, back on the PS2?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, because at the very end of as a joke during the credits, they say no sheep were hurt in the making of this game, except for the one you saw getting hurt, but she had it coming. So
I think
I'm sure she did.
I think it's also because it's tied to one of. I think it's 2 that has the sheep inventory in it.
Yeah. That's what the joke is. Yes.
Basically, Shiro, if you don't know, Ratchet and Clank is a series that's very quirky with its weapons, and a lot of times they are weapons that transform the enemies into like sheets or ducks or something. So there's that.
But yeah, Pedro, I only played a PSP Ratchet and Clank game.
Oh, size matters. Yeah. It's fine, but you can tell it's made from a B studio.
A different team. Yeah.
Well, the developers are former Insomniac employees too, but much like BRB, they're not quite as good as the original article. As you
I didn't dislike it, if that means anything.
So what is better, that or the 2016?
The 2016 is still perfectly fine in terms of gameplay. It's more so the writing that's the problem.
You have to remember, Joe, that gameplay-wise, the 2016 game, it still technically counts as a remake of the very first Ratchet and Clank game. It's the plot of the movie, but instead is different.
That's the thing. They officially pegged it as a reimagining, so not even a remake or remaster, but a reimagining.
That's what the movie technically is, remember, because they tried to put a bit of pastiche towards the plot of the first movie.
Yeah.
The first game. But in terms of actual strictly gameplay, in terms of the story pieces that you go through, it's basically one-to-one the original game.
I think that's just the issue, though. It is a shame because it does have legit good gameplay, but the project as a whole is a mess.
It's like I mentioned this in the past, Jova, but it's best represented by the fact that people who want to play the game, want to show the game on YouTube, have to deal with the fact that the cutscenes of the movie are copyrighted by Universal.
Have I missed anything?
Beating the shit out of pigeons, lives.
Basically, yeah. Well,
Frying
And
them
cats.
into
I can understand. Well, hold on. Okay.
Go on.
I can understand why they felt the need to reboot/reimagine the thing, because they wanted to start fresh so that newcomers could get into the game without worrying about a lot of continuity, because we have a lot of Ratchet games by that point. So I understand that. So I understand the logic. Go ahead. No. So I can understand the logic behind doing that. It's more so the fact that they pretty much ruined the story from the original game by giving Ratchet the characterization from the PS3 games, which would make sense in the story of the original game, because in the original game he's still supposed to be a dick, before he becomes the hero that he is in later games,
Not to mention, like I mentioned in the past, it honestly didn't make sense to me rebooting the franchise, especially because Nexus did ended, on a sequel hook note, which is the thing that, by the time recording, of course,
we're getting Rift Apart now.
They're reprising in Rift Apart, so that makes sense.
Yeah, well, Marcus Smith did already confirm that Rift Apart is indeed that sequel.
So get this, Venice has conveniently placed a switch that allows you to put tar inside the water supply.
Tar?
Why
Yes.
would you have the switch like that?
I'm guessing social commentary.
And by the way, we're doing kind of the same thing of Lego Racers Extreme Stunts, but despite having multiple photos of Don Octavio being literally caught in the act of doing that, Bentley will say, no, we still need more evidence, so we cannot let the cops arrest him now.
Sure, the architect was feeling really random that day. Basically,
I swear to you, Venice was not built this way.
like he was designing the whole thing, Shiroi, and at one point he went, "Wouldn't it be funny if I put the switch here?"
honestly, the Venice in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie made more sense.
Yeah, and that film had a long, narrow boat that could somehow go through the Venice canals with... that's the thing that the movie got right. The canals are very, very small. Like, only the actual gondolas can pass, not actual decent type of boats.
That poor bird bath. I guess more of a bird death trap.
Bentley, that's not the time.
Damn. Also, apparently, this city is so corrupt that criminals can literally loiter around in the streets en masse and still not get caught.
Of course.
Who's giggling?
The villain, the Don Octavio basically banter through this section is basically trying to mimic opera singing. For example, that beat was the Barber
I
of
was going to
Seville.
say, it sounded like he was trying to sing. See, now he's actually singing.
Yeah, no, that was also before Shirei, but it was just, a bit of a reference.
Yes, I'm sure no one will notice.
Well, it's not so much that we don't want anyone to notice us, we just don't want that one particular guy to notice us.
Yeah, the guards do not need to notice us, we're still oh shit.
Yeah.
Also, Dwibs, considering, as you said, this is a place full of criminals just out in the open, a thief being here is not something out of the ordinary. He fits right in.
Okay, so
Let's go
apparently this guy with his random opera singing, he was inspired by the final boss theme of Spyro 2. Well, the American version, anyway.
Wait, what?
Basically, in the American version of Spyro 2, for some reason, that had opera singing sounds.
For some reason, the track is exactly the same in the European version. They just removed those sounds. And
Yeah, I remember that.
don't understand why.
I don't know, Shirei.
Maybe Sony Europe thought the opera singing was a bit too over the top of the song.
It's the better version, though.
Thankfully, we kept that for Reignited.
Oh, cool.
Well, in a sense, they remade it, but they kept
But yeah,
the.
they still had they have the exact same opera singing sounds.
I wonder if the
That's
default.
because it's technically counted as a sound effect, I believe. It's similar
Yeah.
to the native chant
It's
that is used
sampled.
in some music for Crash.
Yeah, when Stefan Vankov was remaking the songs, he did his best to keep the original song sound effects in while remaking the songs. Wish he had a better organ sound, but
Shit. This last photo is a bit tricky because you need to basically be in movement on a gondola and there you go, and you need to basically catch the shot at the right moment.
You'd think he'd learn how to swim in this time.
Nope.
Dang it, Sly. There's some
Sly
essentials
is too cool for the water.
too cool to live if he gets
Oh
low, I
shit.
guess.
I can't believe it! He flooded that aquarium with tar! All those poor
Yes, we just saw, technically speaking, mass murder.
Oh.
And
Actually-
Bentley actually takes this very seriously, as you will see.
Yeah, he actually
by the end of the
sounds
part.
genuinely upset.
Gio, remind me, aren't there some citizens who are literally sentient fish in this universe?
The closest we got was sentient octopus as minions in SCWRM in the first game.
Maybe
I'm
it's
not
just
an
collect
animal.
sea life.
Yeah.
I'm not an animal expert. Are turtles connected to fish in some way?
See if you can latch onto the car Octavio is riding in. We should eavesdrop on his phone conversation.
Sure, why not?
From the look on his face, it seems important.
Yeah.
To Google, I guess, if somebody wants to.
And if you keep looking at some point, see the main character from Pokemon Black and White or one of the cards.
Thought you were going to reference instead the Catwoman movie.
Nah. Why bother when I could just use better material?
Of course.
Yeah, we're using the Ferris wheel to pumping the tar.
Wait. Is this a Pokemon crossover now? I've got Giovanni here.
That's a very common name, Lives.
When the people come to see me sing, I want to make sure they keep a coming.
Who voices this guy?
Oh, you weren't there. David Scully, the same guy who voices Dimitri. He will also voice another villain for later episode.
That fiend! He's twisted a time-honored amusement park ride into a tool for wrongdoing. Break open the control panel with your cane.
Yeah, despite having a lock, Sly actually has to bash it instead. I get the idea this mission was supposed to go slightly different originally.
Look away if you must. You're about to witness the dark side of electrical
Oh shit.
engineering. Kill a bunch of
Bentley.
Bentley!
Once again, Bentley showcasing his more twisted dark side.
I mean, it gets the job done.
Yeah, but what if he ends up flattening himself in the process?
Or killing a bunch of people.
Wow!
Bentley!
I can see where Don Paolo might have learned some tricks.
Yes.
Yeah, but Don Paolo was the villain.
He was very upset about all the fish dying.
There are some things that the games do not tell us when it comes to Bentley.
I appreciate that,
Yeah,
actually.
Bentley's a stick freak.
Hey, Sly.
I guess to be fair, he's kind of mad at the world given what happened
Also,
to him. So he's lashing back
Carmelita,
out.
what the fuck? Gondolas are not meant to be motorized like that. Get the fuck off that.
She's determined, Gio.
Ugh.
She's off on her daily patrol. The thugs can't be far behind.
On my way. Just make sure to have
So yeah, for this mission you got to save her ass because Octavio is engaging some goons that need to actually sink her.
Red wire and Shazam!
Just in time. There go the
And
Vipers.
I'll
Shazam.
shoot. You drive.
That's kind of it was kind of a
Yeah, there's
catchphrase
the comments,
before.
but ever since seeing the Shazam.
Basically, Sly paddles while Bentley shoots. Of course, he's the one shooting. You have 3 different gondolas where you need to shoot before the end of the before he reached
Theo, you
America.
never told me that Venice boats could jump like that.
Oh,
Such
like
graceful
again, Joe, like
controls.
just like Fast and Furious about the water.
Theo, don't give Fast and Furious 10 any.
I mean, I can picture something like The Rock chasing Vin Diesel on gondolas while the fuck not.
Well, actually, no.
Gondolas in space.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anyway, apparently, some bits of Fast and Furious 9 is actually going to take place in space.
Wait, seriously?
I
It's
mean,
Fast and
remember-
Furious. In space!
I wasn't sure established, but there are like super serum, super serum in circulation. Might as well go there.
Yeah, remember the Idris Elba was basically an evil Superman.
Oh, I remember that, and it was awesome. But all I remember from the trailer was showing that John Cena is secretly Vin Diesel's evil twin brother.
That's
Oh yeah, and somehow Han's alive.
they actually resurrected Han.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I can figure that one out. He's actually his twin brother. Why not? I mean, we've already got a role for Vin Diesel.
Well, okay, to be fair, in Vin Diesel's case, it's an evil twin brother who's working with Charlize Theron from Fast and Furious 8.
There we go. Oh shit.
Or is it?
Yes, it is, thankfully.
Another uneventful patrol. This city's beautiful, but a bit...
Wah, wah.
Oh, if only you knew. Okay, yeah,
And yet somehow this is a less silly scene to take place in Venice than the one in the...
Okay, Tio, I'm seriously starting to think maybe I missed Carmelita's voice from 4 for the one here.
Yeah, probably.
Besides, she's
Have you seen Moonraker, Tio?
Also, hold on.
That, and you've got a thing for her.
And I've got a thing.
Yeah, now Sly, get in the corner and think about what you've done.
Go to horny jail.
Bonk.
It's about Bentley whacking you with a stick. Yes, please.
Have you seen Moonraker, Tio? And that
Yes,
scene,
sir.
and more specifically, that scene placed in Venice.
Dwebs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Like you said, Moonraker, I remember, Dibs, as profane as it be, Moonraker is kind of like my favorite 007 movie. So,
I like it too. Here's the thing, Dubs. Here's one thing I'll tell you, Dubs. Any movie that has James Bond riding a freaking gondola throughout the city is doing something right. That's all I'll say.
It depends on what kind of Bond fan you are, but we'll end the party here for now.
See you for the next part where we dismantle Don Octavio's operation.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.